welcome everyone. This is the last week of our Grow Your Strength routine, week 6. Today I want to start with a little bit of rolling. So whether you use a roller or a stick, let's work on the hips, and we'll then take it to the breathing. So I'm going to use the foam roller to roll out my right side, gently taking my right hand to the floor, right hip, and both feet on the ground just to test the waters and see how the hip feels. If there isn't anything too intense, 10 passes should be enough before you switch. And if there is a lot of intensity there, you could certainly just offset the weight so the intensity was about a 4 out of 10. All right, so other side. Just a roadmap of checking out, does one hip feel tighter than the other? Are they about feeling balanced in their intensity? It's a good idea to spend a little bit more time on those tight spots. Excellent. Okay, so that's our hips. Let's go ahead and take it to our breathing, either face down or face up position. Taking some time to micro adjust your posture so you feel aligned and comfortable into the floor. Then focus on your breath, trying to get the breath nice and deep. As you inhale and exhale, just letting go of any tension you might be holding in your legs and hips, up into the back and your neck and shoulders. After your next breath cycle, let's slowly bring ourselves to hands and knees. Just taking some time to have your hands a little wider than your shoulders, knees a little wider than your hips. You can round your back up and down just a few times just to wake up the spine. Not pushing any extremes. And then find your middle ground, your neutral back, and we'll start to slowly rock the hips back to the heels and then weight shift forward into the hands, spreading the fingers, being mindful you're not just loading the base of your wrist. And for the warm-up, I'll try and add a few extra cues for the neck. So gently, as you sit your hips back, turn and just look over your shoulder, not pushing into anything too tight or painful. And then reset on the other side, turning your head and looking over your opposite shoulder. While you do the next few rocks, see if you can continue to breathe nice and deep in and out through your nose if you can. Use your eyes to track a little bit of the movement, looking at something maybe a little higher or a little further back as you look over your shoulder. And then we'll finish by sitting the hips to the heels and just hanging out in that deep position, shifting the hips to the left and to the right. Just nice and gentle. Get a little stretch through those inner thighs. And then we'll take it from here to half kneeling. Taking some time to level out the hips, supporting the down knee on foam if you need to. So we're leveling hip to armpit and rib cage to pelvis. So just depending on your posture, you want to feel stacked over your hips. Let's do some pulses where we track the front knee over the midfoot and just take some time to feel a little stretch without going into a big arch of the back. And then we'll take the foot out a little wider so we've got a really solid base of support. Gently take the arms across the front. And from the hips up, you rotate and continue that idea where your eyes can help with the movement of your neck and upper back. As you come back to center, rotating away from the hips means that I'm not folding into the lower body. I'm rotating through the chest, through the neck, about 3 rotations each way. And before we switch sides, let's just gently take the arms up to a comfortable place overhead, not forcing anything. Rotating a few times with the arms overhead. Spreading the fingers. And then what about some sideways? Just waving the arms in the air. Paint the rainbow. There we go. Okay, so shaking that out, and then we'll go ahead and switch sides, taking that time again to level out the hips. And then knee tracking over the midfoot. Shoulders are relaxed. Back to the focus on breathing. Beautiful day today in Vancouver. We're getting a little bit of summer again, I think, for early September. Taking the foot out so you've got a good base of support, refinding that nice connection, and rotating. Recently, I watched a sort of lunch and learn from Functional Movement, and they challenged the typical breathing patterns that we use when we cue exercises. So just when you think you've learned something and you're sticking with it for lots of years, you can try some different moves. Typically, I would say inhale forward, exhale as you rotate. So try the opposite of that. Inhale as you rotate, exhale forward. I find that I don't get as much rotation. But the lunch and learn was out to prove. What did we do next? Some turns up here, that there could be some advantages to reversing the breathing and seeing if we can get our body to move, movement improvement. By that, and then our paint the rainbow. Good stuff. There is a song, right? Waving their arms in the air. That was Trooper back in the day, but hey, you might not be my era. Okay, so bridge position overhead passes with a band or a dowel. I like this stretchy band that has loops in it, so I can place my hands in the loops without having to scrunch or close my grip. So in this scenario, I've got these little loops. I'm in a bridge position, so my feet are connected, knees bent. I adjust my low back so that it's not a big curve in the back. So again, I'm leveling my rib cage over my hips like we did in half kneeling. You want to have a width that you can work the back of the hands and the back of the arms to the floor. So that feels a little tight for me this morning. So I'm going to go one loop wider and then just ease the arms there and then all the way back to the hips. On a few of your passes, you can let go of the band if you have just to grip the band, and gently let your head turn to one side. Don't force anything. The weight of your head is supported on the floor, so it's really quite a good time to just turn, get a little stretch through the side of the neck. Bring yourself back to center. We'll do another pass or two, just depending on where you're at. And then let's transition this band work to our ankles by taking the middle of the band, if you have a long stretchy band, or here's my loop again through my foot, adjusting the posture and your shirt and tights, and then extend your leg out. Okay, so some knee bends. Pull the knee into the shoulder and then extend up, looking at your foot. You can spread your toes. Try to get the base of your foot level with the roof so it's not turned in or turned out. Push through the heel. If you're very tight in the back of the leg, you might need to back the leg away so you can extend the knee without locking that kneecap. Holding the leg in that extended position, start to work the flexion and extension of the ankle. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion technically. Spread those toes. Do 3 to 5 where you access the end range and then try to speed it up, doing the same. Work through your ankle series. Sole of the foot rolls in and rolls out with the toes to the shin. Find that end range. Rest of the leg stays still. Then pick up the pace. Try the same thing with your toes pointed to the roof. Turn the sole of the foot in and out. Are you getting a nice stretch through the front side of your ankle? I am. Good. And then let's finish with some big circles, trying to keep the legs still again. Slow and fast. There we go. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and switch over to the other side. Starting with the knee bends. I like to extend my non-working leg out, but just make sure that feels okay on the back. Push through the heel. Looks good, everyone. Keeping the leg straight, backing off if you need to. Start to work the ankle, spreading the toes. Slow and fast. We got this. Good. Pull the toes to the shin, roll the sole of the foot in and out. What are you feeling on this side compared to the other side? So similar to the hips, you can do this little road map with one foot and ankle holding a lot more tension than the other. More time spent loosening things up and then strengthening would be in order on that tighter side. Changes. Well, the more you do this, the more you realize that, shoes, activities, length of time on your feet, it all seems to change the tension that you feel through your feet when you do a practice of regularly mobilizing them. So there's my circles. And then we go to bridges. So let's increase the reps of our double bridges today. We'll do 10 double bridges, taking some time to line up the core, the chin. As you come up, activate in through the hip muscles. Extending the hips means a nice line here between your knee, your hip, and your armpit, not too low and not higher than this, so you would put stress into your back. After your 10 bridges, we'll go into reverse tabletop, taking the feet off the floor so the knees float over the hips, making sure that feels okay on your back. You're pressing your mid to low back down. I can touch the roof with my fingertips and then pull my shoulders and shoulder blades into the floor. And start a reciprocal pattern of crawling. Whoops, got to flex the hands and feet for that crawling. And just be mindful you're not pulling your knee too close to your shoulder and just tightening up through your hip. Try to just do some moves that challenge your core midsection. And here's where you can integrate the neck by looking at the fingertips that go overhead. Once you've had a significant enough challenge for the amount of work that's being done with you. Just pull your knees in and rest for a moment. You can do a little egg roll side to side. Pulling on the knees gives you a little stretch through the hips and low back. And then let's reset and do that again. So perhaps you go a little slower or take your arms and legs a little wider. Can you do this while you're continuing a nice deep nasal breath? Finishing off this set, we'll go into the single leg bridge. And placing one foot on the floor, I either dangle my leg, just kind of have it hanging out there, or grab onto the back of my thigh. Can even put my arm across my rib cage so that as I bridge up, I'm aware that I'm not going too high and getting into my back. Just feels like I'm working my hip. Let's go with 6 single leg bridges per side. Take some time to square up the hips. As you come up, hips level, square with the roof, so there's no drop or twist. And modify this rep range down if you're finding this too hard and you can't control the single leg bridge, then okay to just do the doubles until you feel ready. Okay, back to the reverse tabletop. So give yourself a moment to reset that core. Nice slow breathing. Turning and looking at your fingertips of the hand that's going overhead. Did you try a little wider? Good. Test the waters. If that doesn't feel good, then bring it back to a bit more narrow. Rest as you need to, and we'll reset and do that one more time. Knees float over the hips. Anchor in the shoulders and shoulder blades. And last challenge of this set. Looks great, everyone. Okay, one more time through 6 single leg bridges. Take some time to adjust. Chin tuck. How's the back feeling? Open up the foot. Get ready to lift and connect with your foot, your toes. 6 per side. We'll do the get up position, roll to the elbow and bridge 3 times per side. Just do that once today. So I'm extending my right arm and leg out on an angle. Bend the left knee and anchor in the left shoulder. You want to feel like there's a connection through your core box before you roll to the elbow. If the elbow doesn't land on a place that feels right, you've got to smidge it in so that you can bridge up and then pull yourself back down and roll away. So the position of that elbow is reflected by where your arm is. So as you connect for number 2, we'll do 3 per side. I got it a little better that time. I feel like I can come up without adjusting the elbow, but you don't want the elbow to be way out here and try and do anything funky on your shoulder. Okay, you want the weight to be right under and no shrugging. Roll away. There we go. Nice. Way to gently load the shoulder. Get some hip movement, some core. What doesn't that move do? Okay, other side. Make sure you got that shoulder right. You can keep your gaze on your top arm, making a light fist. If you wanted to load this, if you felt comfortable with the move, you could start by loading 3 to 5 pounds and just holding the weight up the whole time that you do it. Okay, so we're going to come from here to our standing exercises. So coming to standing, regrouping, grabbing a sip of water if you need to. Okay, let's start with just some body weight squats where you bring yourself down and then reach your arms overhead to a comfortable position. The footprint of your feet, how wide they are, whether your feet are straight or turned out, this is all something that you can play with. You want to be able to pull yourself down, hips down, knees forward, and reach. In fact, I believe that it's a good idea to change a little something now and then with your hip position. If you change and go a little wider, you might feel you get a bit lower, and it just activates different muscles. If it doesn't feel good, go back to what you were doing before. Okay, so let's take this right into our squat and press. This exercise, we take the weight to one side, and we have been doing about 5 presses per side. Now in week 6 of the program, if you felt like that was getting too easy, you could do up to 8 reps per side. Okay, so you found your footprint, and you're just going to go through your squat and press as a long cycle. So all the way up, all the way down. Feel free to stick with 5, whatever feels right for your body. I'm going to do 1 extra today, so I'm going to do 6, and that feels just about right. Like I did some work, wasn't too easy, but wasn't too hard. Switching sides. Here we go. Wonderful. Second exercise, plank or push-ups, either from an elevated surface or from the floor. You can do a combination of plank holds, lowers, push-ups. For example, you could come to a wall, step back and do some mini push-ups off a wall or a piece of furniture. That looks great, Shirley. Shelley, nice choices. You too, Heather. Be mindful that you're staying out of your neck. You can shake out your hands. Think of an anti-shrug position, right? And then for the second, if you want to do one more, just don't think about having to do a push-up. If your neck was a bit tight, kind of speaking directly to Shirley today, you could just hold in that anti-shrug position, right? Can you loosely turn your head left and right? You don't want to be seizing up your neck while you're trying to stabilize your plank. Okay, cat-cow is next. So taking some time to slowly move through the flexion cycle of your back. Option to tuck your back toes lightly and press through your toes in your hands. And then as you relax your feet, start in your low back and start to drop forward or down, rolling through your spine, dropping the chest down and working the shoulder blades together a little bit, and then looking up. We often have places in our back that don't move as well as other places. So as you go through, imagine 1 inch by 1 inch, just kind of going into that cycle. Did you tuck your back toes? And after you finish the next cycle of this, we'll take it back to standing and do this set one more time. Water. Typically, we go to always start an exercise set on one side. And so if you feel like changing it up, change it up to the side you don't usually start with. Just feels weird. And here we go. Set my feet, pulling myself down nice and even and pressing overhead. If the pressing was bothering you, you would just hold the weight at the shoulder and just squat, okay? You don't necessarily have to go for the full press. Everybody's form looks good. Switching sides. Match your reps. Nice strong breathing. Good stuff. Back to our plank and push-up set. The foundation of these moves is your plank. So you want to make sure you spread the hands, distribute the weight evenly. You're not in a shrug, so shoulders feel connected. As you step back, there's a little activation of your hips. And you can simply hold the plank. You could do a little mini push-up. You could do a lower where you just rest on the floor. Come back up. You could do a full push-up. The lowers are a nice way to progress this. Sometimes putting a pillow underneath your front side makes it a little easier. The pillow's there. You're lowering yourself to the pillow. Makes it a little easier. Okay. Let's try a version of tall kneeling cat-cow, and then we'll move on. So tall kneeling cat-cow, you can take your knees a little wider, arms out to the side, and now you're just rounding into that back position, rotating your palms in. There's your flexion cycle, and here's your extension cycle. Coming up, letting the weight of your head gently open your neck and rotating the palms open. Now, most of us posturally have a forward flexion nailed because a lot of sitting and computer work puts us in flexion. So this time, see if you can hang out a little longer in the extended posture. Just breathe. Let that spine open up. It's just a nice variation of cat-cow. All right, so finishing off your next cycle, we'll go to our bent over row with the option of using a band or dumbbells. Row and stand. Oh yeah, okay, bent over row with, so let's do that. Shall we? Okay, so here's the row. And here's the stand. Okay, so it's 2 moves in one. You get to sit your hips back, bring the elbows up to the sides, pulling the shoulder blades together, and then stand tall, forward with your hips. That looks great. Okay, here we go. Up to 10 cycles of this. Okay, as you row, think shoulder blades and armpits. Stay out of the neck. Nice hinge there, Shelley. I like it. Nice row and stand up tall. Good. Finishing off up to 10 cycles. The static lunge is next, and that is 6 left and right. So with the static lunge, you're going to bring yourself to a split stance position. dropping the back knee a little or a lot and coming up and down in this way. The front knee can pitch forward a little, or the knee can be held over the ankle by being a bit more upright and not pitching forward. Okay, these are all little technique things that you can work on. Your knees are wanting a little bit more load, you're going to pitch them forward. The front foot tracks right over the middle of, or your knee tracks right over the middle of the front foot. That looks good. So you don't want the knee coming in, even just a little. Take your time and work it out. Extension reaches with a calf raise. So the weights go down. I've taken my feet a little wider than hip width. And now I'm going to lift my heels and reach for the roof. Trying to use my feet, come back down, swing those hands all the way back. Opening up all the joints again into extension, kind of like that thing I said with the tall kneeling cat-cow. We want to open up the shoulders and neck. Try up to 6 of these. Reach, reach, reach. Spread the fingers. Work the feet. Looks great. And then we'll go through these 3 exercises one more time. Started with the row, and bent over row, and hinge. Taking your time, working through up to 10 repetitions. Second set. We're doing our bent over row, just finishing off there, Heather. And depending on how challenging you're finding the lunge, you can put the weights down, change them out, or keep them, split the stance, focus on something in front of you. Okay, connect with your front foot and your back toes. And here we go. 6 of these. Again, switch the front foot. Get that connection with your toes. If you want to add breath cadence, I'd suggest you could try inhaling down, exhaling up. Could help to make you feel a little bit more stable. Nice work. Carefully put those weights down and back to 6 extension reaches. Feet are a little wider than hip width. Spreading my fingers, taking some time to look up at the ceiling. If you got a good one going on and you've got the control through your feet, hang out here for a sec. And then when you have to, you bring it down. Arms all the way back. Reach, reach, reach. Strengthen those feet. Let's move to the standing halo next today. So I did the hinging with the row, so mixing up a little standing halo, taking a weight or a dumbbell or a kettlebell. Feet are hip width apart, and I'm going to take the weight to the side, back, other side, and back to the front, and then switch direction. So as you go around with your weight, you want to avoid leaning to the side or leaning back. I'll show you from the side view. Make sure you're not extended in your knees, right? You're not locked out in your knees. You want to find your weight right over your feet and then work at keeping that. That is what works the core. If you're finding this really easy, you're probably not going around with a heavy enough weight to challenge not bending, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so about 3 each way. Then we go into bicep curls. So taking a weight that you can do up to 10 bicep curls with, again, finding that posture. I'm turning my palms from facing my thighs to facing my shoulders. Control up, control down. So use some strength to lower the weights. Activate as much as you can, thinking about it as well. Nice and tall. If you feel this in your neck, you stop, put the weights down, go lower, breathe. Okay, from here, we'll go to some drop squats and some fast feet, about 30 seconds of each. So options for drop squats would be bouncy knees, drop and catch, or something like this where you're actually adding a light jump. Okay, just be mindful of how that might feel on your body. Okay, and do the drop squats. Timer's on, 30 seconds. Good, think nice and easy on the knees, elastic knees, tendons, ligaments. Everything's nice and easy. 5 more seconds. Let's get the heart rates up a little bit by either a march or picking that up to a faster movement. Again, 30 seconds. Okay, get those elbows back. Nice light landing on the feet. 15 seconds to go. Nice work, everyone. You want to work a little harder. Pick it up, last 5 seconds if you can. And slowing this down, let's try some balance reaches this morning. Just let the heart rate come down a little bit. Opposite hand to knee. Taking some time, looking straight ahead, keeping that posture tall. If you find this too easy, hold the position, blink or close your eyes for a moment, or just try closing your eyes and doing a few with your eyes closed. That is really hard. We'll do this for 10 more seconds, and then we'll grab those weights and do our tricep extensions. Coming into your last rep. Excellent job. All right, triceps. Finding that slightly hinged position and matching the reps that you did with the biceps up to 10. Again, those reminders to keep breathing, to stay out of the neck. Work both arms equally. Let's go back to our halo. 3 circles each way. Nice tall posture. Looking straight ahead. Nasal breathing if you can. Okay, bicep curls. Line the feet. Here we go. Keep the breath going. I'm sweating. My glasses are starting to slide down my nose. Woo. Okay, weights down, drop squats. Just the glasses. Okay, so you've got choices. It can be a drop. It could be just like a catch or just some little bounces, just thinking about getting the blood flowing, the elasticity and the fluid through the knees. Really nice. Okay. Open up the toes. Connect those toes to the floor. Let's go 10 more seconds. Breathe. Lots of good stuff going on through the knees. And taking it to our march or our fast feet. Just 30 seconds. Get those elbows back, open your hands, spread your fingers. Nice light landing on your feet. Yeah, go for a little travel around the mat. Here we go, 10 seconds. Can you pick it up? Last 5, work hard. And slowing it down into the balance. Connect with the foot. Here would be the thing you don't want to be doing is leaning back, putting stress in your back to balance. So the knee comes up. You're keeping the weight over your foot. 10 more seconds. Good. Finishing this off, we've just got the tricep extensions. So let's grab those weights, balance out the arms, sit back a little bit, elbows glued to the sides, not wing, but just holding them just an inch or so out from my side waist. So I can move, this feels good. Check that you're not feeling this in your back. If you do, stand up, take a moment. Keep that back neutral and just move the arms. So you guys did great. I want to thank you for building a stronger version of yourself with me today. As mentioned at the start of the class, new program next week. If you have any questions or concerns or requests for the new program, please email me or Sheila at sheilahamilton.ca. I'm happy to build that into the next 6 weeks of programming. Thanks, everyone.